Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to share these stories with you today about the time I studied abroad in Florence, Italy. I am half Italian, and this was a very special trip, not only for my heritage, but also spiritually, because this land has a very rich history with Stregeria, witchcraft, Stregeria, I'm trying to pronounce it nicely, and folkloric magic. It's very rich history. I did talk to some people while I was out there, and I had a lot of spiritual experiences. So I'm going to talk about them with you today. So first of all, a little brief background and historical overview of Florence, Italy. I stayed there for 4 months. I lived there. I had an apartment out there with me getting groceries, me going to school with this international program for exchange students around the world. And so that's a little bit of context, but getting into the history here, and I have some notes over here. The current modern city of Florence was built on top of the old city. And so with that in mind, I'm going to be getting into what that means and how that manifests energetically in a little bit. But first, I want to say that the founding families of nobility of this area has a very blood-stained karmic past. Okay, craziness. I'm sure there are a ton of documentaries about it, and so I'm not going to get into it, but I just had to take a moment of silence there. I was like, it's a lot. I stayed in an apartment building that was just across the way from the Palazzo Vecchio, which apparently had an enemy clan member hanging from it. And I'm saying this because energetically, after crap like that happens again and again and again, there's some buildup of density. There's just supernatural presence. And so, anyway, they have these kind of stories, these ghost stories around the city that are known. And I'm going to be getting into some of them, the ones that I remember the most and that I can confidently recount and talk about. And the impact of Catholicism is also something that plays into this, the Christianization of Europe from those centuries ago, and the fact that temples were destroyed. Art, the very famous Venus painting that is in the Uffizi Gallery now in Florence was saved by the painter's friend, who literally pulled it out of the pile that they were going to set on fire, and he freaking ran away with it. I was told all of this by tour guides and teachers and professors while I was staying there, and I thought, oh my goodness. And not to mention the giant basilicas that are made out of marble of all these different colors, and just these extravagant architectural elements and design pieces are built on top of old, in most cases, pagan or early Christian temples. And one of which you can actually go down into and see. I took pictures of it. I have way more information about pagan history and earlier religious history being kind of covered up by the modern Catholic, Roman Catholic scope on my Instagram. So please follow me on Instagram. My link for that is in the description. There is a whole post about, and pictures in history, in a post where the cover image, if you look on my profile grid, is a temple, a white temple with a blue background. It's a very simple one because it's an ancient structure that is still standing today in the ruins that I took a picture of. So check it out if you want to. Maybe if I'm able to link the post directly in the description, I'll do that for you so that you can find it easily. And so anyway, it's just a lot. I mean, something else that my professors got into too was the fact that the Dominican Republic controlled the imagery of Jesus and Mary and, you know, the Holy Trinity and just the different elements of Catholic and Christian belief. Very much controlled that. There were regulations for artists, for designers on how this was allowed to be expressed and portrayed visually. It's wild. And so getting into the specific paranormal stuff now that I experienced, I mentioned earlier that the old city is underneath the new city. And so that means that as soon as I stepped foot into this area, this territory, this place, I could feel that there were layers of energy. There was a massive passed on spirit person population as well as the living people. Okay, so it's like the streets may have been crowded physically, but if you can imagine double the crowdedness from the spirit presence. So it's like a whole other population was living alongside the living, living alongside the living, existing alongside the physical incarnate people, okay? That sounds crazy. I'm telling you, it was really, really interesting and overstimulating at times to experience as a psychic medium. And so I remember I had gotten there when August. And so I was there from August until mid-December. And one of the specific nights I can call out is October 31st, which is Halloween. But in Italy, they actually celebrate All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, Feralia on November 2nd. But that window between October 31st and November 2nd, and maybe even a couple of days after that, across the whole world, there's just energetic, spiritual things and portals and just like thinning of the veil happening. That's just the peak of it. So basically on October 31st, I can't make this up, I was out walking around with my friends and it was getting late. It was getting dark outside. You guys, like, I can't. I saw a torso. Just the torso. It was like an upper body of somebody, like arms, head, but no anything under that, rising out and like pushing itself out of a sewer. And it was made of black smoke with like little bits of random neon purple. Guys. Like, I'm sorry, that's just, I saw it so clearly. And it was one of those, I need to start editing that into my videos, maybe, that Nicki Minaj meme of the ciao. Anyway, so that, I can't even begin to tell you just how much that is my daily life all the time, you guys. I'm constantly doing that when I see stuff in my peripheral, or I see stuff out and about, or I see like waves or light shifting or orbs or whatever, spiritually, like freaking shadow figures, you know, the whole 9 yards. Ciao. Anyway, so like just continuing on my day, like, okay, I'll just keep brushing my teeth. I'll just continue on, keep driving or whatever. Like, it's just kind of crazy. So this what is life, you know? And so another interesting thing that I experienced was the fact that, so I visited basilicas on my own, but I also visited them with my art history class because we were specifically talking about different architectural art and design elements of different eras. And it was so cool to be able to go out and ultimately see it in real life in our backyard, the stuff that we were learning in the classroom. And so I remember walking into these Catholic spaces there were times I had spirits running up to me, and it was pretty stereotypically kind of horror movie-esque, like the whole like very fast kind of like rushing up to you and like screaming in your face. It wasn't scary to me because they were regular looking people. They weren't zombie looking or anything like that, but they were old spirits running up to me and hissing the word witch in my face a few times, I will say. Which again, sounds very theatrical and kind of ridiculous, but honest to God, like that did happen, and I just kind of stood there like, yeah, hey, it's me. How's it going? Like, like, and I just had to just sit there and hear my teacher talking and trying to just learn about history. Meanwhile, there's like, like that was a little weird. But it's interesting because sometimes I would get, you know, this hostility when I walked into these spaces. But there were other times that I was just a little bit, there were like curious energies. People that kind of stood off to the side, like, but they weren't like getting up in my face, like, blah. Just very curious. Definitely reserved, definitely cautious. But yeah, they were either yelling in my face or they were just kind of like, which is very interesting. And so so kind of getting into these popular folkloric stories here. Some of them I can talk about in detail. Some of them I'm just going to mention because I don't want to get any details wrong about these stories. And so the one that I had a kind of intense visualization and vision from is what's called the Piazza del Limbo. This is a specific square because in Italy they have like street names and different squares and areas with names like Piazza. Piazza del, the name of the square. And so Piazza del Limbo specifically is known historically widely by all the people there. It's a very popular story that this is called Limbo, this area, because orphaned children, the souls of orphaned children have been trapped here because they have not been baptized. These poor children who were told by these priests and nuns long ago, like, you know, you're bad and nobody wants you and you haven't been baptized and so now you're gonna stay here forever. That's terrible. And so I remember walking through this square and I had so much going on energetically. There was another project I was embarking upon, actually two, spiritually at the time. And so even now, I am heavily considering doing some kind of remote release for these children because when I was there physically walking through this square, they were like in piles. Like they were like, so they were running, basically, again, kind of almost cartoony because they were like falling on top of each other, like in this mass, in this crowd, moving towards me, like crying and wanting help. And I was overwhelmed. There was just a lot of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I even take this? What do I even do? Because again, I was at a different experience level at the time. This was a couple years ago. And so I thought, oh my gosh, well, I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to send them good energy, which I did. And if I have time, because here's the thing too, it's Italy, full of, I shouldn't say full of, I mean the religion of the land is Catholicism, Roman Catholic, you know? So I couldn't just sit in the street with my book and talk out loud and be like, do, like that in another country like that. That's also something I thought about. I was like, well, crap, I have to do it remotely, even if I'm here in the city. because I can't just stand in the square and be like, oh, you know, like, I don't know. But I'm also surprised that, well, maybe they just don't know that they can free them, or maybe they just don't even know that they're there. Because I was going to say, I'm like, well, why haven't other priests helped them yet? That's so weird. Like, so anyway, I prayed for them, sent them good energy. I told myself if I had time before I left, I would try to do some kind of release or ritual just in my apartment room and connect to the energy kind of remotely, telepathically. But I did not do that. And so now that I'm talking about it in this video, I might like genuinely call myself out here and check in on that area, because that's not okay. That's really sad. Again, there were all these little children that were running so fast that they were falling kind of on top of each other, trying to get to me. They're sad, they're scared, and they're in an illusion ultimately, because just because they weren't baptized doesn't mean that they're not gonna go to heaven, but because they were told that, they believe it, and so that's what they experience right now in the afterlife. And that's not okay. People like me, mediums, people who help with ascensions, that's precisely what we do, is we free these people of these prisons, basically, that were projected upon them, or they're perpetuating within their own selves because they just don't know. And so, anyway, another thing that I saw was there were always cats, specifically kittens, in the graveyards outside of the churches and the basilicas. There was one on a hilltop specifically that if you went to, it was like a 20-minute hike up a hill. It was pretty hard. Definitely very inaccessible, unfortunately, with these stone steps that were very steep. And once you get to the top, you can actually see Florence. There's all these trees, and off to the side, there's a little graveyard. There were little kitties, like tiny little kittens, just like playing around the stones. And to me, I mean, cats are very much spiritual guardians. And so it made me smile. Not only are they cute in the physical, they're actually very powerful in the metaphysical as well. So I was like, oh, look at the little kitty guardians. They're just diddly-dee, like they're just playing around. That was really, really cute, and definitely a big signifier of like very heightened energy there, you know what I mean? And so just to mention these two folkloric kind of things, there were a lot of famous philosophers that passed through Florence throughout history that had spiritual experiences that are documented. That's really cool. That's something that I learned about in school and in tours. And then another thing that's really well known is the window that's always open. I have pictures of it because I made a little slideshow and I presented it to a local Unitarian Universalist gathering a couple of years ago. So that's what I'm referring to. I'm looking at it right now. Is there's this building with a window that's always propped open, and then a statue that's actually in the square that building is in. And the statue of the person is looking at the window, because there's like a whole story of like this love that could not be because of positioning, but this girl would look out her window at him, and it was like that's the closest that she could get to him or something like that. And so apparently in years past, years after that kind of story, that family lived in that room in that building. Whoever moved in afterwards had paranormal experiences and creepy poltergeist happen when the window was closed. And so they found out, holy crap, this is who used to live here. This is the rumored kind of drama scandal. Prop the window open. And then the activity stopped. So it's actually, I was told by this tour guide, it is glued open. This window is like permanently open. So I think that's really cool. And The final thing I'm going to talk about here is the Etruscan ruins. You can take a little 15-minute bus ride from the heart of the city into the outskirts. And out here, I have so many pictures. Again, I'm pretty sure those pictures are in that Instagram post. I'm going to try to link it directly so that you can go to it. But this was a day trip, a little trippy trip I took just by myself. And they have like these arches, this amphitheater. It's an entire area of ruins basically with a temple, bathhouses. It's like a whole thing. And so basically what I wanted to do was not only feel the energy and get to see the ruins physically, but I wanted to channel messages. And oh my goodness, I forgot. I wanted to read my messages to you, and my notebook's over there. I'll pause the video and I'll get it in a second, but just to lay the groundwork here, there's a museum on site, an archaeological museum, where they house all of the findings from this land because they have excavated the land. And so there's pots and literally I took pictures of all these beautiful black ceramics that were confirmed ritual, like they were of ritual use. They were vases for offerings and juices and water that they would use for ceremonies and give as offerings. And so that was really, really cool. Another thing that was in the museum was these little figurines of animals, specifically owls, because their temple, or I think the temple, it wasn't dedicated to her, but it was, she was a big figure for this population, Minerva, who is the Roman, very similar to she's the Roman version of Athena in Greek mythology. And so it's really, really cool because they would see these figurines and they found out, archaeologists say that they would make these offerings to the temple, symbols of this goddess, as a way to tell her, like, hey, I honor you, I'm reaching out to you, I'm acknowledging your energy, basically. And another thing that they would do is actually make figurines of body parts. Like, literally, there was a glass case of little feet and legs and arms and like body parts in this, and they found out that it's speculated that they would make offerings of these little figurines to the temple to show the goddess and their gods, their divine energies, that this is the part of them that they're asking for healing. And so that is really, really cool. And so I walked on this land, such different energy than what I felt at the Catholic spaces. No shade, but like so warm and so chill. And it was also outdoors, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but very inviting energy. There was a cute little kitty that followed me around. Like, I have a picture of it right here in my slideshow, like a little black and white tabby cat, and it like followed me around and I got to pet it and it was so cute, and we were just touring around together, a little guardian perhaps, a little friend to accompany me on my little journey. And so I sat at the temple, this like rock nearby the temple, because you can't really climb or touch anything obviously. And so I sat next to the temple and I channeled this message. I'm gonna read it to you. I'm just gonna grab my notebook. Okay, oh my goodness. So very calm energy. Upon entering the area close to the temple I was looking for, a small group of figures appeared over the area I needed to go and gestured me over. I said an honoring and connection prayer to everyone, then channeled this. Hello, our friend. We are the Etruscans. Thank you for your visit today and for honoring us. Not many people do. You sit at the most grand gathering place of the era where people feasted, left offerings, worshipped, and danced. We still do, just not as loudly. Which is like really kind of like a cute, funny, lighthearted part. May we ask you something? Where are you on your path, please? We must figure out a way to bridge the past and the present. We would love to know. Thank you. And I explain my light work, like what I do. We are in awe and are so impressed and amazed by your story. We are indescribably happy at what you've chosen to study and that you recognize us. We recognize you. It's just that your direct lineage has left years ago towards ascension and other places of worship. We encourage you to find more pagan ruins all over the world and historical landmarks. They may be there waiting for you. So that was a big thing. I called it a scavenger hunt. I was like, oh my gosh, they put me on a little scavenger hunt to find my not only blood lineage, but my soul lineage too. Like, they're telling me, and I put it in underline, they're telling me to go to these places because there are messages and spirits there for me. It's like a video game. Like, oh, go on the quest, get the message from the wizard. Like, that's honestly what I am feeling. Oh, dearest, we are so happy. Please stay as long as you'd like, and be sure to look at all of the places, all the plaques in the museum as well, as they can give you a further glimpse into daily life. And then I asked if there's anything else they'd like to say to me at this time. And then they said that we love you. Ah, that's so cute. My ancestors lived here in this community, so I connected with family, friends, and they passed on the message to me to channel in more pagan spots around the world to connect since my fam souls have spread out. Yes, that is so cool. And so, oh my gosh, that's the video. Those are my experiences. Had a beautiful time in Florence. I know all the spots, and like, I got to go to different galleries in different cities in Italy too, and take pictures in the temples and show my respect and do all the things. And I definitely want to go back because it's just such a beautiful place. And I know where all the spots are now. I have them saved in my little Google Maps folder of like restaurants and ruins and historical places. It's just so vibrant and beautiful. And so thank you so much for watching. If you like videos like this, I love sharing stories with you. If you have some stories you'd like to share down in the comment section, I would love to read them. If you like videos like this, please do subscribe and check out the description because there are a ton of goodies down there, including my Etsy store and my soon-to-be launched podcast. So once it's up, all the info will be in there as well. So thank you so much for watching. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.